A very good evening, dear viewers. Good afternoon for some of you. Good evening for the others. Welcome to the losers bracket semi-final at the ongoing ATA Africa Super 8 competition that is happening at the Mchana Pub and Grill alongside Ngong Road in the East African country of Kenya, the capital of Nairobi. Two of the tournament favorites are finding themselves in the losers category. South Africa's Jeremiah Naido Ganda and his big-time rival, Ugandan Caesar Chandiga, are racing to 13 for a place in the losers bracket final. The winner of this match shall be taking on Brian Kiptalam Lotto, the Kenyan, both of which players have lost out to him, by the way, to reach this level. And yet the winner, the loser, shall be having their tournament come to an end. Frame number 1 has been won by the South African Jerry, who leads 1-0 against the Ugandan in Caesar Chandiga. Once again, the race is 13. Not the first time, not the second, not the third, not the fourth, not the fifth that these guys are taking on each other. I'll later on be breaking down the performance statistics of the two. The last 9 times, if not 10, they've been facing off against each other. But the guy that you're looking at, seated in his seat, Jerry, on the whole of the African continent, is the only player against whom Caesar does not have a better head-to-head performance. Statistical analysis. And yet, once again, he leads 1-0. The news is that Jerry tried to have a money match with Caesar yesterday, but Caesar felt that he wasn't in the mode. What he's in the mode today is to try and make it to the final of the losers bracket by taking down Jerry this time in a race to 13. Our umpire is Dennis Otieno as Jerry puts the black ball on the break, meaning that the same player has to break the same frame with no result recorded. Do you remember when Jerry made his first tour of Uganda? The match that was most anticipated was him taking on his current opponent in Caesar. What a race it was to 21. Jerry was 21-17 down. The guy did win the last 4 frames, winning the match 21-20. It is the most watched ever match online in the history of African pool. At one time, it had 6.6k views watching. And when they rematched about 5 days later, the match that was won by Caesar is the second live watched match ever in the history of African pool. At one time, it had 6.1k views on Facebook and a few others on YouTube. For now, Jerry has a dry break. Caesar has an opportunity to take frame number 2 away. Because of the recent performance of the players, not between themselves, of course, because they haven't been facing off often, apart from, by the way, 5 days ago. I would call Caesar somewhat a favorite for this one, at least a slight favorite. He has won 2 big ones in the last 5 weeks. Of course, he's the defending champion of this competition itself, the ATA Super 8, which he won in his own home country of Uganda, beating countryman Hazard in the final. In that one, the two did not face off. It was also single elimination. But also Caesar did beat Jerry quite convincingly, by the way, in the semi-finals of the Grand Mchana Open Championship, which was concluded last Sunday, around at exactly the same time on Sunday. Caesar was beating Jerry in a race to 9, a match that ended 9-3. And it was not the biggest thumping that Caesar has gotten over Caesar. That one we shall come to it later. For now, Caesar is attempting to win frame number 2 after a void break by Jerry. He had the chance to break again. Second break was a dry one. Chance for Caesar to take this frame away as long as he can put red and black. That is quite accurate. He made it look easier than it actually is. Now needing to put the black ball to the corner pocket, the top left of your screen, and he misses. You just get a feeling that this one may be something of a destiny of this match. For whatever reason, Jerry has been really longing for this one. He just wants that opportunity to take down Caesar. Of course, because Caesar has been having better form this year. Last year, Jerry did beat Caesar thrice, by the way. At least thrice, if you remember the tour of Tanzania by Caesar. Caesar winning all players who were Tanzanian. Jerry did follow him up there in Dar es Salaam. Jerry also did play a few money matches with Tanzanian players, then took on Caesar himself. First match was won by Jerry. The rematch the following day was won by Caesar. And like I told you, when Jerry visited Uganda early this year, both of the players did win a match against each other. But before then, there was the Queen's Sports Club double elimination competition last year. Before the event in Bulawayo, Queen's Sports Club, they had a money match which was a short race to 13, which was won by Jerry. 13-8. And then they faced off in the final of the competition itself. The final, in which Caesar had 2 lives. The final that was won by Caesar. But this one has Jerry seemingly going for a second clearance of the table, utilizing Caesar's miss of the black. Good spin of the white ball bouncing off the cushion and moving in straight direction as though he placed it by hand. Jerry 2, Caesar 0. Once again, the race is 13. A relatively long race. We are at the Mchana Pub and Grill in Nairobi. If you are in the city, feel free to pass by Ngong Road. Opposite Prestige Plaza is the venue that is the most famous pool club now in the entire country of Kenya. They are having 3 different pool clubs all under the Mchana management. That is, I think, Mchana Chilies, Mchana Gladiators, and now there comes another seemingly dry break by Caesar. And another chance by Jerry to win a third against Caesar. Big rivals, the players themselves, though in a friendly way, but very big rivalries of the 2 sets of fans of the players themselves. And if you just follow the banter between the 2 sets of fans on social media, some of it gets quite nasty. Personally, I don't have a problem with it. Banter is part of the game. There comes Jerry. Going for a third. His only problem will be that yellow ball that he's looking at near that cushion now on the right of your screen. Tricky looking position for Jerry's yellows. Nonetheless, he will try. Normally, he knows one way how to play, and that is by attack, probably, most probably by connection. Play yellow, to play another yellow, to roll it right against the cushion. He misses the ball, but still has relatively some good amount of control of the frame because of the positioning of his yellows in relation to Caesar's reds, but most importantly, in relation to the black, which is also right behind one of his yellows. Caesar opens up the pocket that was causing any amount of trouble. That is the difference between good and very good players, because in one moment, it is a bad game. In the next moment, it is a good game for a good player like Caesar, and he's rooting for frame number 1 for himself. Just like that, he looks poised for this clearance. He doesn't even need to open up the black. He needs it is portable to that same corner pocket where he's just spotted his red. He'll have to be mindful of these 2 reds, which are near respective center pockets. As long as he sinks this one in, I think he'll be good to go. The second red, which he's now having good white for, is the one which he pots, gets natural angle to try and put the black alongside the cushion to the corner pocket on the top right of your screen. Now, top left in this camera angle, Caesar versus the black for win number 1, for himself, for his management team, for Uganda. He wins frame number 1 and pulls one back at his Jerry 2 and Caesar 1 in a race to 13. The match has been timed for the whole of 2 hours. I don't think these players will need all that amount of time. But should they, then the player in the lead at the elapse of time shall be winner. And whoever it is, in my opinion, shall be favorite to take revenge on Brian Kiptalam. And congratulations to Kelvin Fikoti of Zambia, who is the first player into the grand final after winning the first live chat of the event. And all matches, he has been winning them quite convincingly. Kiptalam gave him quite a challenge, but ultimately, the young Kenyan came short, and now will have to face the might of whoever of these two will be winning this match. And yes, every once in a while we shall be having joint commentary between myself and the golden voice of Pris, the voice all the way from Zimbabwe. Hi, Priscilla.
Hi, Peter. I'm enjoying this matchup so far. I've been enjoying all the games so far, but I think, like you said, Calvin won convincingly. And I think of all, not I think, of all the players, is the only one who hasn't lost yet. A couple of players, four to be precise, have bowed out of the tournament. With the first man to bow out being Ishmael Mtetwa from South Africa. He had two chances. All players have two chances. The first one to beat him was Stanford Gente from Malawi. And the second one that beat him was Hussein Abdullah from Tanzania. Thereafter, we saw Marvin Mukonza from Zimbabwe bowing out. He first lost to Caesar Chandiga and thereafter lost to Jeremiah Naidu. The third person to be sent packing was Hussein Abdullah. Hussein first lost to Calvin Gandu. Sorry, as I was saying, the third person to bow out was Hussein Abdullah. He first lost to Calvin Gandu and then lost to Caesar Chandiga. The fourth man down was Stanford Gente from Malawi. He first lost, good shooting there from Caesar. As I was saying, Stanford Gente is out. The last one to beat him this morning was Jeremiah, and yesterday he lost to Calvin Gandu. We have four men remaining in the tournament. Calvin is yet to lose. Caesar Chandiga has lost once. He lost to Brian Kiptalam from Kenya. Jerry also lost once to Brian Kiptalam from Kenya. Calvin with a clean record and a clean black. I'm sure this will be a good pot, an obvious pot for Caesar. It's down 2-2 it is. Sorry about that interruption. I was saying the third man to bow out of the tournament was Hussein Abdullah. Hussein lost to Caesar Chandiga and also to Calvin Ngandu. The fourth was Stanford Gente. First lost to Calvin Ngandu, then this morning lost to Jeremiah Naidu. Calvin is the only man yet to lose. Jerry and Caesar have lost once, and they both lost to Brian Kiptalam. Frame number 5. Good clearance there, by the way, by Caesar in the previous frame. Recording a red apple. He breaks in pots for the first time. His first break, Caesar that is, he scratched on his first break. Second break, was dry, and now the third break being the best yet. Table closed is in command on the red class of balls. It's just a little bit of trouble there. That little cluster that he was pointing at with his cue. I'm sure he's figured out how he will solve that one. That execution was totally off. He was already facing a very difficult finish and has now jumped out of the frying pan and into the fire. He snookered himself. Easy enough to escape, but his design definitely messed up. Chance back to Jeremiah here. The first tactical frame we are watching between these two. Will Caesar open up? Will Caesar open up in this particular shot? No, he's still getting a little tactical. Still a tactical frame. Caesar thinking here, thinking hard, trying to figure out how he will get out of this little predicament. It was very difficult to clear there. He needed to make sure he got the pot right and the position as well. Rather difficult. Chance back to Jeremiah. Will he open that up? He's certainly trying. Well done. I think best shot of this frame so far. A very open frame now, and he should be well on his way to a clearance. A good one there, good run. 2 yellows remain for the giant, the gentle giant. Giant in stature, the giant on the table as well. Little too much movement on the cue ball, but I'm sure it's nothing he cannot handle. He faces the black and pots it with ease. Takes the lead once more. Blow for blow. Now, it's any man's game really, both are queuing relatively well. None totally overshadowing the other. Interesting encounter. This is definitely very promising. But both players need to improve on their breaks. A very important shot, the break shot, for players of this level. Break shot defines a lot. The next break will be taken by Jeremiah. Will he give us the first break and dish? Maybe, maybe not. 3-2, 5 frames down out of a possible 25. If we get to go all the way to a decider. It's a first to 13 or best of 25. Frame number 6 commencing. Jerry's best break so far. Breaking and potting, and most balls nicely opened up, save for maybe 3-4 or so. But nothing a cannon or 2 cannot handle. Is gunning for the yellows. Table closed and opens 1 yellow up. In good position for a back shot. And maybe a clearance. All balls now that remain have a clear pot, at least one pocket. Probably take that ball is facing to the corner pocket, then center, then to the bottom right of your screen, and the key ball being, okay, never mind about the rest. He's failed to make that pot. No green apple here. Chance to Caesar. Chance to equalize. That was a careless mistake by Jeremiah. Very careless. Should have easily made that pot. Why do you think he failed that pot, Peter?
You know, Jerry normally takes too little time between shots. His game looks so good when he's winning, when his calculation, when he gets it right. But when he doesn't get it right, sometimes he looks a little bit suspect, and that's one of those few moments that comes up. Normally, when he wins against Caesar, it is when his game is totally on. But also, Caesar wins against Jerry when his game is totally on. One thing I like about this match is that Caesar, while he is generally the player with the biggest performance in many matches in the continents and long races, there is only one player against whom he doesn't have better head-to-head statistics, and that player is Caesar. Sorry, that player is Jerry. That's why I always look forward to this match every time that it comes by. And also I like the fact that while Caesar has been in better form of late, at least for most of this year, Jerry is so confident every time he has a chance to take on Caesar. He's already so fired against it, and that was witnessed yesterday when it was he who suggested that the two have a $3,000 pot money match, and Caesar turned it down, of course, for psychological reasons. Now that is Jerry at Jerry's best. How I wish I get to even crop out that shot and share it out. My goodness. That was one split second of brilliance from the South African, who in one moment turned a bad-looking frame into a good one. Now, as long as he rolls that yellow against the cushion, white ball bouncing off the cushion and moving towards the top end of the table, which is now the left end. That one is an absolute beauty of a clearance from Jerry, who now leads 4-2 against Caesar. Someone is asking, is Brian Kiptalam guaranteed a place in the top 3? The news is that Kelvin Fikoti is already in the grand final, so he's guaranteed Kelvin at least $1,000. Now the other two positions for the second and third, and I'm not saying that Kelvin is going to be first, but there are three people who are going to be walking away with cash. It will be between Jerry and Caesar and Kip Talam, who will be facing the winner of this match. Therefore, it is true that Kip Talam is guaranteed at least a place in the top three. He will face the winner of this match. If Kip Talam wins it, then he regains his position in the grand final. If he loses, then he will be third. Sorry, if he loses, he will be third, and the winner of that match will play with Kelvin in the grand final. Remember that the grand final has the player in the winner's bracket, the player from the winner's bracket, that is Kelvin, having 2 lives in the final. Caesar Chandiga. The Ugandan Scorpion taking on the South African Ganda, the Bulldozer, in a race to 13 for a place in the losers bracket final, in which place Brian Kiptalam is waiting. Lovely cue ball manipulation like he always does. The little look of suspicion is the fact that in the event that he puts that yellow ball to the corner pocket on the top left, that red ball, natural movement of the white could be intercepted by the yellow. That's why he's changing choice of ball to play, and he is justified. Pool looks so simple when you have such ability to pot, choosing even to go for the more difficult shot as long as it guarantees you better white. Just like that, the guy is up against the black for the third time in the match out of 7, which black he sinks in to pull one back. It's now Caesar 3 and Jerry 4. Once again, the race is 13. And yes, it is the first apple from Caesar in the match.
Caesar seems to have picked up pace very nicely there. After earlier trailing 2-0 to Jeremiah, Jeremiah grabbed the first 2 frames. Now Caesar has won 3 straight frames, with the third being an apple as he leads for the first time. A break and run. Jeremiah is yet to dish a break and dish here. He has delivered a reverse dish. Let's see how this break goes. Good break. Breaking and potting. All balls nicely open. I tip him to respond with an apple 2. Apple for apple. I have a feeling we'll see many of those. A lot more than in the last encounter between Calvin and Brian. There were not more than 2 apples. In this matchup, we already have 2 apples in 7 frames. Sorry, did I say the scoreline is 3-2? Sorry. It's 3-4. My bad. 3-4 it is. He's cruising on. So far, so good. It's looking good for him here. I think this may turn into that apple after all. He's down to the black in no time. He pots it and successfully responds with a green apple. Well done. Extending his lead once more. 5-3 is the scoreline. Still early days, still early to tell here. Who's doing better? I think they're both doing relatively well. It's the breaks though. It's all down to the breaks, I think. They're queuing equally well, but the braking. There's been one foul break so far. That was from Caesar. One dry break from Caesar and 2 dry breaks from Jeremiah. Frame number 9. Caesar set to break. He's breaking at all the odd numbered frames, while Jeremiah will be breaking on all the even numbered frames. Another apple, maybe? Could be. Our reds, I think, are looking a lot better than the yellows. I think it'll tack away. Give a 3rd consecutive apple here. Interesting encounter. I'm sure he's done all these calculations. If I could read their minds. Maybe center next. Okay, or not. Good position still for a clearance. But maybe not the exact position you'd hope for the cue ball. There's always plan B. If it isn't what he had planned. He's looking a little hesitant. I think it's just about where he lands his cue ball. What a shot. I didn't see that coming. Very creative. Creativity at its best. I like it. 2 reds to go here and looking very easy now. Execution was tip-top. And just like that, he's down to the black ball. Another break and dish. 5-4 is the scoreline. 9 frames down out of a possible 25. Blow for blow here, I think. But will it go all the way to the decider? Both these men are still in the running for the first prize. But whoever loses here bows out of the tournament. Brian Kiptalam, a.k.a. Lotto from Kenya, as well as Calvin Gandu, a.k.a. Fikati from Zambia, are already guaranteed some money. Definitely some money that they will go home with. It just boils down now to how much. First prize will be $2,000. Second prize, $1,000. Third prize, $500. There'll be 3 prizes for this competition. Number 4 goes home with nothing, and number 4 will be the loser of this encounter. Frame number 10, Jerry looking very eager to break there. He can't wait for the referee to take the triangle off. Good vibes here, good venue. It's happening, it's live here at Nchana Pub and Grill. This is where the action is at, the 2nd edition of the Super 8 Atta Africa Comp. The first edition was held in Uganda about a month or so ago. This is the 2nd edition here in Kenya, the capital, Nairobi. How's that for a shot closing the table? Lovely one there. Jeremiah cruises. Just like that, 2 reds to go. Just as I was saying, table closed, and before I managed to catch a breath, he is on the black. This is the quickest frame I've seen since I got to Kenya, actually. The crowd is amused. What an amusing break and run. This may be his quickest break and run ever, maybe. I'd love to later rewind this and just time it to see how many seconds that was, just for some record keeping. That was awesome. 6-4. 10 frames down. Several more to go. He mapped it out so quickly. Quick thinking, quick execution. On point. Table closed. Caesar's opted for the reds. He needs to clear here. Not difficult at all. He just needs to make sure players of this caliber tend to punish each other for small mistakes. Small mistakes are very costly. This is definitely very entertaining, though. Five reds remain here for Caesar. Nicely done. He cruises on. I think this will be a break and dish. Certainly looks like it. Good positioning, good cueing. Taking his time. Perfection takes time. Well done, Caesar. Just right. Fancy cueing there. I like it. One small drawback, and I'm sure the black will be down in the next shot. Oh, careful. That was so close. Almost scratching there. I feared for him for a second. But he's safe. And responds with another break and dish. This should be the second break and dish by Caesar. A lot of green apples here. And I'm certain we're still to see a lot more green apples. These two are in fine form. Queuing quite well. Good entertainment value. The crowd is entertained, and so are you, I'm sure, from wherever you're watching from. Crowd is growing bigger here, Timchana Pub and Grill. This is where the action is at, and if you want to join us, it's along Ngong Road, opposite Prestige Plaza, Kenya, Nairobi. It's live, it's happening, it's lit, and it's on. Crunch time.
Once again, a big congratulations to Kelvin Fikoti and the three guys that are fighting in the losers category. That is these two, as well as Brian Kiptalam, are only fighting for a chance to play with him, with Kelvin having 2 lives in the final and now guaranteed at least 1,000 US dollars. While Kiptalam is guaranteed at least 500 US dollars. The 2,000 US dollars is also still up for grabs for any of the 4 players involved in this tournament, including these two. That is how kind double elimination format can be. Dan, many people have been talking to me about how much time the frame number 10 has taken. I promise that I'll get it out for you and have it cropped for you and time it effectively. If it's a new African record, I will be the first to inform you probably tonight.
Allow me to make a guess here. I think that may be the quickest frame we've had of from Jerry on camera. I think it was less than 45 seconds. Less than 45 seconds, I'm sure. Should be the quickest.
The quickest is 46. It happened between Jerry and Victor at Queen's last year. There is a chance, but we have to first verify it, and then the beauty of internet is the fact that it times videos automatically. So you just crop it out from the break to the potting of the black, allow it to flow naturally, and then the time flows also naturally. 6-5. The Ganda leading against the Scorpion in a race to 13 for a place in the losers bracket final of the ongoing Super 8 competition, organized and sponsored by the Advanced Talent Agency. Chance for these players to take money home after paying zero registration fees. For me, it is the beauty of this event. The fact that pool players can take money without registering by paying. Caesar gets himself relatively good white ball for the last yellow, but has to maintain the white ball in the same direction of the top end of the table, which he does, at least does well enough for him to roll the black ball to the corner pocket. Now on the right corner pocket, has to be on first, has to be on target. White ball will definitely be safe, supported by the red. Caesar on target. White is safe. Break and finish. Green apple. I think it's the second for red apple after Jerry's dry break. Caesar bounces with a red apple and equalizes for the very first time in the match. The last time that the scores for this match were level were when it was 0-0. And one of those matches that the crowd are just watching and following it disciplinedly, but not showing too much reaction, but guaranteed that they are having enough entertainment. And then all smiles Kelvin as part of the crowd, because he knows that even though things didn't come his way for the Grand China Open Championship, the ATS Pack 8 competition is paying off. He's in the grand final. He's at least $1,000 richer. I can also give you some rumor that I've been having a discussion with Mafia about himself and Kelvin proceeding across Kenya's western border, that is to Uganda, after Kenya, before heading back home to Zambia in about a week's time. That one is not yet confirmed, but it is something that is in the cooking. So get your cues ready, those of you who are players and watchers from Uganda. Mafia and Kelvin could tour Uganda and tour it pretty soon. On the reds now is Jerry. In a race to 13, we are just around at the midpoint of this mouth-watering action. It is as entertaining as it indeed promised to be. On 3 reds now is Jerry, now on 2. I believe he's manipulated the white ball between the object balls enough for him to pretty much guarantee us another single visit clearance from himself, Jerry, versus the red. White ball bouncing off naturally off the cushion to be a good one for the black, which will be the easiest that he will ever put. Jerry regains his lead after 13 frames in a race to 13. Jerry wins the first half of the match. He leads 7-0 against Uganda's Caesar Chandiga in a race to 13. This one is now slowly becoming the most entertaining match of the tournament so far. I was really entertained by the match between Jerry and Brian Kiptalam. It went all the way to the wire, and both players did play relatively well. For Jerry, not so much, but Brian Kiptalam was able to give him a very, 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 very good run for his money. This one is now becoming even better than that match. And another reason as to why Jerry continuing in attacking mode and in beast mode. A match that normally when it is played draws goosebumps all over the African pool fraternity. Caesar is one player that for the last 3 years has demystified the superiority of South African players over players from the rest of Africa by the fact that he has been able to take them on and most of the times taken them down. But Jerry has been the stubbornness of all the South African players every time there have been matches between themselves and Caesar, and he's demonstrating exactly why in this match, as even when he took the lead and Caesar fought back and equalized at 6-6, Jerry is finding a way to win 2 straight frames. In no time taken, he regains the lead that is with 2 frames cushion. It is now 8-6, the South African leading against the Ugandan in a race to 13 for a place in the losers bracket final to face Brian Kiptalam. The other piece of news, by the way, is that the winner of this match is guaranteed at least $500 US. And yet I just have a feeling that whoever wins between Jerry and Caesar will be a relatively big favorite. With due respect to Brian, will be a big favorite, whoever it is, to take down Brian and potentially face Kelvin in the grand final, in which Kelvin will have 2 lives, as I like to be joined by my fellow commentator, the Golden Voice.
I'm just thinking of how you're saying whoever wins this will be the favorite most to win against Brian. And I was just thinking how when these two first matched up with Brian, I mean, they've both lost one of their lives each to Brian, to the same prey. I mean, they've fallen victim to Brian. They're both angry, and I'm sure, eager to take revenge. Caesar very angry as well after starting off on a 7-0 scoreline, 7-0 walkover, after he came late for the party. Jerry as well, very angry at himself, losing in the decider there after a very, very costly mistake that he made. I think both of them will take to the table in beast mode.
A confession that I made and can make again is that for the match between Brian Kiptalam and Jerry, it is the worst ever performance I have ever seen from Jerry. Miss after miss after miss, unforced error after the other. I don't think he can get any worse than that. And he lost by a single frame. And for Brian against Caesar, it was Caesar lost probably not to Brian, but to poor timekeeping, poor time discipline. He will probably be at least in the winners bracket final. And yet the beauty of double elimination competition is that sometimes you get a chance to play even against the guy who beat you first and try to right the wrongs. I believe whoever wins will be righting their wrongs against Brian Caesar on the penultimate red before the last, and the black, which is there for the taking. What a match we are having on our shoulders. I can even call this one world-class performance because there are so many single visit clearances that have been happening for either of the players. 5 plus 2, 7 apples for both of the players. This one will be another. As long as Caesar pots that black, which he does, I believe white is safe. Caesar 7 and Jerry 8. But most importantly, what a performance. I can only say thank you, Caesar, and thank you, Jerry, and thank you to the ATA for organizing us this kind of world-class entertainment. Very, very, very worth your money watching stuff like this. Umpire Dennis Otieno donning the Kenyan colors today. Green, black, and red. Just to ensure that Kenya is well represented, even in a match where there is no Kenyan. And he's doing a commendable job, at least so far. And I won't be surprised if these guys have this match all the way without even a time break.
Frame number 16. Jeremiah about to break. He's fighting with the fly there. Anyway. Jerry breaks and pots black. After having managed to pot a red, it would have been a good break. Nevertheless, he gets to break again. Earlier, he did this on his first break in frame number 2, where he had a good break, breaking and potting an object ball, but also potted the black in the process and had to re-break. In the re-break, he wasn't fortunate enough to make a pot. It was a dry break, and Caesar came onto the table to close the table. Jerry gets to re-break here. Will he break and pot? So many apples in this encounter. With 8 apples in 15 frames, what a record. Every other frame is an apple. Oh, okay, all right. I was about to say I almost jinxed it there with my words about how he did on the re-break. But good for him, he managed to pot a red and looking to close, I think, with the yellows here. Green machine, I think, nicely serviced for this journey. He's cruising on pretty nicely. Scorpion also venomous, spitting out a couple of apples too, although trailing at the moment. It's blow for blow here. Shot Jeremiah. Just looking at his body language there, he's also very disappointed in the outcome there. Blocking off that yellow, his yellow in the pocket, making it a lot more difficult to clear. If it wasn't for that, I think I would have safely and easily predicted a break in dish here. You could make some awesome plan to open that up. Some double pot of some kind, I think, would be the order of the day. That ball keeps giving him a little bit of stress. I see he keeps peeking at it. Is he hoping for a double pot here? Just make sure, go around nicely around the yellows. Okay, just wants to position the cue ball for the yellow. Thankfully for him, it did not bump into the black there. Else he would have snookered himself. He's safe enough. He sees enough of that yellow. And set to clear. He's recovered pretty nicely after that mini mess up. He's down to the black. And almost potted black and cue ball simultaneously there. I think that that shot where he blocked off his yellow by the corner pocket is largely to blame. It limited his ability to manipulate the cue ball for an easier black chance back to Caesar. I think that's the first foul I've seen between these two. In this first 16 frames, that scratch by Jeremiah, definitely the first scratch. Man, I think you know it, I know it. The scratch is a punishable offense by clearance. Well done, Caesar. 8-8 it is. Jeremiah's asked for a quick timeout. The referee's granted it. Action will resume shortly, 16 frames down out of a possible 25. Hope you're enjoying the show. Break time's over. Frame number 17. Action resumes with an unfortunate dry break there from Caesar, who's been trailing for most of the time, has managed to equalize the second time, and Jerry did not manage to close table there. Open table. It's fair game here. The Reds are looking better. Large crowd gathered here to witness a spectacle. Two of the finest players we have in Africa. Jerry, definitely one of the best players to ever come out of South Africa. Caesar trying to get the same. It's blow for blow here. Quite difficult to predict a winner. Ah, that's a shot and a half. Good one there. Not too sure if there's enough space there for the red to squeeze through. You could pot it though, maybe hitting it into the cushion first, then maybe bouncing it off the black and into the pocket is good with those kind of shots. Don't ask me to do it though. I can see it, but I can never execute it. If it can't squeeze through clean, he can still make some sort of plan using the black. Plan executed so well. Even the position, the eventual positioning there, which is what I was worried about. But easy does it. A little more movement would have been best in the cue ball. But anyway, it's easy enough for him to part. Well done. He clears that with ease. He leads now for the first time, 9-8. Good run. Well done. 9-8, 17 frames down out of a possible 25. Definitely an exciting encounter. Whoever loses here, such a good run. Whoever loses here still deserves my respect. They've done very well, though they'll go home with nothing. Peter, this is definitely exciting. We've seen a total of 3 green apples from Caesar and 2 from Jeremiah. 1 red apple from Caesar, 2 from Jeremiah. As far as the breaking is concerned, a couple of dry breaks from each. 2 from Caesar, 3 from Jeremiah. 1 scratch on the break from Caesar in the very first frame. But most of their breaks have been rather good.
First of all, thank you for keeping the statistics, recording the statistics for us. It always makes the sport exciting to follow. Every time I do it while doing commentary, it's quite challenging. And I like the fact that you are doing it quite ably. But it just shows the class of the match that we are being treated to how I wish it were a final. But my wish is not what is supposed to be happening, because Kelvin is firmly in the grand finale and has not lost a match and is deservedly there. But I can just say thank you to Caesar and thank you to Jerry for treating us to this kind of action. And it is that action that people can pay to watch and can never ever regret. After all, you feel good when you pay to watch this one. And you know that you have gotten value for money. Someone who has not paid is not watching. Maybe later on also. The Scorpion is in the lead for the very first time in this match. That is a worrying statistic for Jerry, because while he has been playing quite good, Jerry, He has either been leading or drawing. First time that Caesar is leading. Starting to look worrying for Jerry. Movement of Caesar's reds, probably he will not be so happy with it because two of the reds are closely entangled against each other. For Caesar's liking, he won't be so comfortable with that. Nonetheless, Caesar being Caesar, he will continue in attacking mode in this red frame. He needs a recovery here, Caesar. Maybe his intention there was to have white ball being supported in its movement close to the reds by the yellow, which the white ball missed, and has slight sight of the red ball he's looking at, which if he can see clearly, he could be putting it to the center pocket, but I'm not so sure that he can. And just some of the previous results between these players. In Tanzania, in a money match, 21-15, Caesar defeated Jerry in a race to 21. That was a rematch the day before, earlier last year. Jerry had defeated Caesar 25-23. As Caesar seemingly recovers according to the resting position of the white ball, that is probably okay, but has to have a very, very sharp cut over that red ball he's looking at to the center pocket now closest to your screen, but in this camera angle, the one near the top end of the screen. My goodness. What a run from the Scorpion. What a way to record another apple. What a way to have a 2-game cushion. What a clearance from Caesar. Could go for either of the corner pockets. He's deciding to go to the one on the top right and gets it right. He was never ever going to miss that black after that big fight of that clearance. It is that kind of frame that as a player you can lose, and then it gives you goosebumps. It gives you less courage to play the rest of the match. Even other top players that are watching this match from the stands are wowed. Not to mention Senzo, not to mention Sulamatuvu, not to mention Jinte, not to mention Moses Mofia. Caesar Chandiga 10 and Jeremiah Naido 8. I was just mentioning to you, there is also an 11-15 victory for Jerry against Caesar in a money match that I streamed at Queen's Sports Club in Bulawayo. I also remember Priscilla doing commentary in that one. These two players also faced off in South Africa in a race to 11. Jerry won 11-9, and then a rematch that was a race to 21, and Jerry won 21-14. Then there were 2 money matches in Uganda. The first one was won by Jerry 21-20, then the second by Caesar 25-10. There was also a match that happened only 4 days ago, Sunday, at the semi-final of the Grand Mchana Open Championship in a race to 9, that Caesar won 9-3. The other time that they are racing is now, where Caesar is having a 10-8 lead on Jerry. You never know. We could have a money match between the two before they finally leave for South Africa and Uganda respectively tomorrow. Jerry with South Africa Airways and Caesar with Kenya Airways. One yellow ball has been potted by Caesar on the break in frame number 19 out of 25, potentially 25, in a match which shall be won by the first of the two players to 13. There always comes a time in matches that this young man makes himself just a little bit unplayable. And the unfortunate bit for Jerry, the time seems to have come at the wrong time of the match for Jerry, the right time of the match for Caesar. About to take a 3-game cushion for the first time in the match, going for frame number 11, aiming to take down Jerry for the second time in 4 days in the same city, same country, same venue, same table. That is the white ball. As close as the word close itself, Caesar wins to start off what looks like two final victory laps. It is always very likely when he's down and fights back and equalizes and leads by 1 and leads by 2 and leads by 3. Very likely that he will be winning the match.
I'm just comparing this matchup to the previous one we watched, the previous encounter between Calvin Kandu and Brian Kiptelam just before this one. I'm having a mini deja vu moment here. It's exactly the same way that one went. Calvin was trailing in the first half of that encounter and just passed halfway as well. He was trailing, then managed to engage a mini handbrake, and at some point he was now leading even 11-8. I mean 11-8. He was now leading. I guess the only difference is they didn't deliver more than 2 apples. And here we've seen like we're in, we're like walking through a farm filled with apples. But will it continue on? Will Caesar continue on all the way to the finish line like Kelvin did? Only time will tell. But unfortunately here for Jeremiah, it's a dry break.
For that match between Kelvin and Brian, I just credit Brian for the fight he has given to these guys in this competition. I think Africa has taken note of the young Kenyan man. He has very big ambition for becoming a big African pool star, and he has demonstrated that one in this match. What Caesar has not demonstrated is the ability to close this table by potting that available red ball, and availability that gives Jerry chance to pull one back, because if Caesar goes 12-8 up, you just see no way that Jerry will be fighting back. Even Jerry being Jerry, winning 4-5 in a row against Caesar is quite something. He knows that he cannot give away opportunity anymore. And it is this match that shall determine for Jerry whether his coming to Kenya will have ended in success or not. Yes, he finished a very recommendable third at the Grand China Open Championship. He probably wanted a higher position, was taken down by Caesar. He can only be happy if he wins this match. If he beats Caesar in the second comp, in the same city, on the same table. And winning Caesar means that he has to win this match. Winning this match probably means that he has to win this ongoing frame. To pull one back and maybe pull another back, try and put Caesar under pressure, instill hope in himself, and of course his fans, that are so many, by the way, all over South Africa, from Durban, where he's born, He always tells me that his favorite town is Omlazi. I've not been there, but really likes that town. Shared videos with me of people watching his matches every time they were streamed live in different countries and playing at least well enough to make it 9 for himself against Caesar's 11. But first he has to pot this red and then the black. The white is okay, but not very okay. He will definitely be rolling that black ball to the corner pocket on the top left of your screen, which is now, that is the shot which he just gets slightly wrong. He will have to fault himself, Jerry, for the way he moved the white ball before the black, because he didn't have it close enough. In a match like this one, it is always fine margins that normally separate the players. Small errors, even when the shot is 99% right, you could just lose the frame because of the 1% with which we are not accurate. There goes Caesar. After this roll of the ball, white ball bouncing off the cushion, moving towards the position where there is a black. He's doing it quite well. Will he have to bounce the white ball off two cushions to start with the red ball closest, the yellow closest to the pocket, just like that? And as bad as the yellow frame has been looking, for a player of Caesar's level, it now looks like a formality, an assurance that he will be winning frame number 19. And as the commentator was almost guaranteeing that this frame was being won by Caesar, the commentator's curse comes to haunt him. Frame number 19 is finally won by Jerry, one of the hardest fought frames of the entire competition. By the way, it is now Caesar 11 and Jerry 9. It was actually frame number 20, that one. Kingsley from Nigeria, thank you for watching. You're asking about the time the final shall be played. Of course, Nigerian time is very different from Kenyan time, but just be informed that these matches are being timed to 2 hours. Immediately after this one, there will be 2 hours of the losers bracket final, which will be played between Kenya's Brian Kiptalam against the winner of this match, and thereafter another 2 hours for which the final shall be played. So in just around 2.5 hours, we shall be having a final between Kelvin Fikoti from Zambia, who will be taking on the winner of the match between Kenya's Brian Kiptalam and the winner of this ongoing match that you are watching. So I cannot tell you who Kelvin's opponent will be in the final. It is one of these three guys, but whoever loses this match shall have their opportunity to play a final blown into thin air immediately, and they will be free to return home with 0 monies from the 8-man competition. Whoever loses this match will be 4th in this competition, in which only the top 3 were to be rewarded with cash monies with some naira. Kingsley, I hope you answered. Dan, thank you for watching. You think Caesar Chandiga is a marvel to watch? I cannot agree with you more. Five frames left, a maximum of 5 frames left. And of the 5, Jerry must win 4, or else his competition comes to an end. Caesar needs 2. And yet one of them, he is getting closer and closer and closer to, as long as he keeps rolling in the balls. The yellows, which are now 4 in number, playing one shot which he will be potting to reduce them to 3. Needing top spin of the white ball, following the yellow, bouncing off the cushion, moving towards the top end of the table, having natural connection for the would-be last 2 yellows on the table. for Caesar to try and win frame number 21 to come within one of the victory, within one frame of the money, within one frame of beating Jerry for the second time, and yet he again misses a shot that is so unexpected by himself. Whatever Jerry has to do has to be something like showing maturity in finishing off this frame. Better still be patient than do something that you are not sure about as a player, because of how crucial it is, this ongoing frame, most especially for Jerry.
I don't know why, Pete. I'm feeling so tense for these players. I don't know, when I watch these kind of matchups, I feel kind of nervous. This game can change complexion any minute. It's Caesar leading 11-9. He needs 2 to clear, and Jerry needs twice as that. But the 2 mistakes that Caesar has made, okay, forget the rest of what I was going to say, because after that miss, it is pointless. But they're queuing quite well. And I mean, it's easy to remember even the fouls that these players make, because they're very few. They've only been 2 fouls, actually, the entire match. That was almost a 3rd foul. Careful there, Caesar, not scratching. The first foul was in the very first frame when Caesar broke and scratched. And the other foul was when Jerry potted the cue ball as he was trying to pot black. There's only been 2 fouls, and the rest have been relatively good shots, with most of them being apples. In this 21 frame encounter so far, 10 apples. That's quite a record. 1 frame every other apple. Look at Jerry. He's looking visibly disappointed in himself, scratching his head. Closed his eyes for a minute there, possibly saying a little prayer. Looks up to the heavens, possibly for some inspiration, but I think is angry at himself for failing to make that pot. Such a crucial moment. 12-9, Caesar is sitting nicely at the top of the hill.
I just hoped that Jerry could be a little bit patient in trying to make that clearance, because in trying to go for the game as it was always risky. It was a very bad looking red frame. I wasn't surprised that he eventually missed the ball, not because of how bad the ball is, but against the pressure of the moment and the fear of the unknown. Should he have missed? Even Jerry being Jerry, I just sometimes want him to be a little bit cautious in his attacking play. Now, this frame, should he lose it, that will be it for him in this tournament. Fortunately for him, he gets to put at least a ball or 2 on the break, which is a relatively good split of the balls, but he needs 4 frames in a row. 4 frames to go. Jerry needs to win them all, or else have his visit of Kenya end in tears.
Unless he's keen on a money match, which he usually is, with some player. You never know.
All right. And should it happen, then it will be coming your way. Same venue, same streaming platform. Out of sorts, Jeremiah Naido. How he bowed down his head in disbelief of missing the shot that missed him the previous frame. Not so many times you see him in such kind of agony. His body language is of a guy that now is probably having so little hope of making it to the losers bracket final.
Yeah, even look at him now. He's still shaking his head there. That was a rather lackluster kind of attempt. That last shot there, he didn't get it right. And chance back to Caesar here. Could this be the last visit of this encounter? You never know. It's not over till the fat lady sings. But it's a very tall order for Jeremiah. Very difficult for him now. And it's surely looking up for the Scorpion.
And with each shot that Caesar puts, They are waiting to celebrate in Uganda, but fearing a sense of agony in Durban as they fear for a second defeat in a row against the same player in Johannesburg. They are probably about to celebrate a second victory for Caesar over the same player in Kampala. As South Africa's misses are Uganda's joys, as two of the best players from their respective countries are facing off for the second time in 4 days here at the Grand Mchana Pub and Grill, in a tournament that is an aftermath of the Grand Mchana Open Pool Championship, in which Uganda's Caesar Chandiga is again having a lead against South Africa's Jeremiah Naido, who cannot blink anymore, cannot miss a ball anymore. But one thing that would instill hope in himself and some of the fans is that what he's trying to do it for the second time. It is something he has ever done, winning the last 4 frames against Caesar, although Caesar was at his own home, in his own home country, when Jerry toured Uganda in March, early in there. But after that miss again by Jerry, it seems that maybe, with Caesar being Caesar, Jerry may have had the last involvement in the ATA Super 8 competition. In the last edition, which was a single life championship, he came third. It was in Kampala. It was won by the guy against whom Jerry is playing right now. Now, this second edition, if he loses this match, he will go one step lower. He will be 4th. And yet Caesar has eliminated the would-be bad red from the table. He's now on to reds and a black. All balls are in open space, and the black as close as the word calls itself to the center pocket, which is on the right, with the white ball being moved by Caesar so neatly around the edges and the cushions of the table. Jerry stands up, probably knowing that he will be walking out of the arena in the next few seconds or so. And that has been the last nail in Jerry's coffin in the semi-final of the losers bracket at the ATA Super Comp. Caesar versus the black for the win, and he wins.
That was a very enthralling match indeed. These two gave each other a good run for the money. Blow for blow it was for the most part. Caesar was trailing at the beginning and engaged a good handbrake, an effective one at that. The most number of consecutive frames he managed to win was 3. It wasn't too one-sided as a lot of other matches have been. It was a good show from the two. In very good form, I would say. But there can only be one winner. Congratulations to Caesar Chandiga, who still has a chance at the $2,000 first prize. $1,000 will go to the second prize winner and $500 to the third place winner.